And the drama of the Zohar centers on the romance between Shekhinah and Tiferet, the Sphira. In the middle here, Tiferet. Tiferet is the masculine, Malchut or Shekhinah is the feminine, and their union is the goal of this whole system, to unite the masculine half of God with the feminine half of God. That is the challenge of Jewish religion. According to Kabbalah, every good deed that you do brings the divine couple together. Any mindless or harmful or evil deed splits the divine couple, divorces the male from the female. So the very first Sphira is Keter, which means crown. You could picture it as a crown on the divine organism, because the Sephirot really are depicted in the form of a body, an androgynous body, both male and female. Tiferet, masculine, Malchut, feminine. This is all one organism within God, because God is one. Even though they seem like different qualities, they are parts, they are components, they are aspects of the one God. So Keter is the crown on the head. Chochmah and Bina, the next two Sphirot, are the divine mind. God's thinking, God's contemplating. Chochmah is seen as masculine, Bina is feminine. Bina is the divine mother. Bina gives birth to the seven lower Sephirot, the seven lower qualities. And in general, the Kabbalah says, don't venture too far. Don't even try to explore this hidden realm of the highest Sphirot of Keter, Chochmah, and Bina. Start with the Sphirot from the next level, the next rung, Chesed, divine love. Its opposite would be Gevurah, divine power, or Din, judgment. It's also known as Pachad, fear. So think of love and fear, these opposites of love and fear. These are divine qualities, but they are also human qualities. We feel love, we feel fear, right? We project those qualities onto God. So much of theology is projection. But what makes the Zohar especially intriguing is that the Zohar moves back and forth constantly between the human and the divine. So this is a depiction of divine qualities, but it teaches us something about our own inner workings, our own inner dynamics. If you can balance love and awe, love and fear, then you end up in a place of harmony, which is Tiferet. Tiferet is seen as balancing the love of God and the harsh judgment of God. And the next Sphirot are spoken of very rarely in the Zohar, but the passage we're going to look at today does allude to them. Netzach and Hod, literally endurance and splendor. You could think of them as minor variations, minor replications of Chesed and Gevurah. Netzach on the right conveys something of the divine love. Hod on the left conveys something of that opposite divine power. But in the Zohar, they are seen as the source of prophecy. And that will come up in the passage we're going to look at shortly. Netzach and Hod channel the divine light to the prophet. Now, the prophet doesn't necessarily reach this level. The prophet is still human. The prophet is beneath Malchut, beneath Shekhinah, but the prophet draws on the power, the emanation from Netzach and Hod, channeled through Yesod, the divine phallus. Tiferet and Yesod together are the masculine entity within God. And then that prophetic inspiration, that prophetic flow reaches Shekhinah or Malchut, and the prophet experiences prophecy beneath Malchut, but drawn on Netzach and Hod. Beneath Malchut are various angelic realms, and the Zohar is going to mention some of them today, specifically Gavriel. Michael and Gabriel, Michael and Gavriel are two of the archangels, two of the main angels in Jewish and Christian and Islamic tradition. And they inhabit the realm beneath Malchut, beneath Shekhinah. So the angel Gabriel is going to make an appearance in the passage today as well. Okay, that's just a few highlights of the Sefirot. We can talk about that later when questions come up, but I want to move immediately to the Zohar passage for today. And some of you have the PDF, but I'm going to share it here. This is the page of Zohar. In a minute, I'm going to enlarge it so that we can read the text more clearly. But I just want to show you. I want to show you the full page here for a moment. Many of you have this, or have one volume of this edition. This is my translation of the Zohar Pritzker edition. The entire work is 12 volumes, of which I completed the first 9. 2 other scholars working with my guidance completed volumes 10 through 12. Volumes 1 through 9 I composed, and those 9 volumes cover the Zohar's commentary on the Torah. So we're looking at volume 3 of the Zohar Pritzker edition because this Joseph story is further on in the book of Genesis. The first 3 volumes of the Zohar Pritzker edition cover Genesis. The next 3 volumes cover Exodus. And volumes 7 through 9 cover the rest of the Torah, Leviticus through Deuteronomy. So we're in volume 3 of the Zohar Pritzker edition. This is the Zohar's commentary on the story of Joseph. Just to help you navigate the page, at the top it says the Zohar. Over here is the original Aramaic pagination, but we're working with English page numbers, with Arabic page numbers here, page 114 in volume 3. Anything in italics is a quote from the Bible. Okay, all biblical verses are put in italics here. You can immediately see when a verse is being quoted. The top part of the page is the Zohar. The bottom part of the page is my commentary. Sometimes, as you see, there's more commentary than Zohar, but that's because the Zohar is so dense. We're going to begin reading the text and then move down to the commentary. So let me just enlarge this a little so that people can see the text more clearly.
There is one simple device that, once set up in your home, can produce endless amounts of fresh, clean water. The best part is, it only takes a few minutes to set up. Many may have heard about this, but for those who haven't yet, there was a review conducted by Army and
Okay, this is the text of the Zohar. It begins, Joseph dreamed a dream from Genesis chapter 37. And let me read to you a few verses so that we'll get the biblical context. The Zohar, after all, is a commentary on the Torah. It's not a systematic book of mysticism. It moves through the Torah verse by verse, chapter by chapter. And it's important to have a Bible in front of you when you're studying the Zohar so you can see what the Zohar is drawing on. So I'm going to read from chapter 37, beginning verse 5. Joseph is a son of Jacob, but Joseph's brothers resent him because Jacob favors Joseph more than any of his other children. For example, Jacob makes for Joseph a coat of many colors, some special ornamented tunic that Joseph has, and his brothers are very jealous. But the brothers are even more spiteful toward Joseph because of this dream that Joseph has. This is chapter 37 of Genesis, verse 5. I'm reading from Robert Alter's translation of the Bible, which I highly recommend. It's the best translation there is of the Bible in English, just called the Hebrew Bible, 3 volumes. I'm reading from volume 1, which is the Torah. Joseph dreamed a dream and told it to his brothers, and they hated him even more. He said to them, Listen, please, to this dream that I have dreamed. Look, we were binding sheaves in the field, and look, my sheaf arose and actually stood up, and look, your sheaves drew round and bowed to my sheaf. That's his dream. He dreams that they're all in the field, they're binding the sheaves of wheat. Joseph's sheaf stands up tall, and all of the brothers' sheaves bow down to Joseph's sheaf. His brother said to him, "Do you mean to reign over us? Do you mean to rule us?" And they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. Okay, that's enough of the biblical text to get us going. So how does the Zohar continue? Rabbi Chia opened. Okay, this is one of the scholars of the Zohar, one of the companions of Rabbi Shimon, the hero of the Zohar. He's going to interpret this verse in Genesis, but the way you interpret a verse in Jewish tradition is by quoting another verse. So Rabbi Chia quotes another verse that mentions the word dream from the book of Numbers. Rabbi Chia opened, he said, "Hear my words. If there be among you a prophet of Yud-Heh-Vav-Heh, in a vision I make myself known to him. In a dream I speak with him." So this is the book of Numbers, where actually God is comparing Moses to all the other prophets. He's contrasting all other prophets to whom God might appear in a vision or in a dream, whereas to Moses, God appears directly. But the reason this is important here, and the reason Rabbi Chia quotes the verse, is because it seems to be saying prophecy can come through a dream. So there's some connection, there's some relation between prophecy and dream. Come and see how many rungs upon rungs the Blessed Holy One has made, all standing one atop the other, rung upon rung, this above that, all absorbing suitably, these on the right, those on the left, each appointed over another, all fittingly. Okay, what are these rungs? First of all, notice the Zohar says, come and see. It's the favorite formula of the Zohar. Let's look more deeply into this. Let's see what else is going on beneath the surface layer of the text of the Bible. So rungs upon rungs, he's really talking here about those 10 sefirot, those qualities of God, which are seen as rungs upon a ladder. The Zohar never uses the word sefirot. I don't think once in the whole Zohar, certainly fewer than a few times. Whenever the Zohar wants to refer to sefirot, it uses various images, various metaphors. One of its favorite is rungs. So when the Zohar says rung, it often means sephirah. Not always, but usually. Take a look down at the note here. You'll see, we're not going to look at all the notes, but I want to show you how to use these notes. This is note 189, so down below here on the left, rungs upon rungs within the network of sefirot, and throughout the entire chain of being, lower rungs absorb the flow of emanation from the higher. So this includes the sefirot, and then continuing the chain of being all the way to the earthly realm. Right and left, why does the Zohar mention right and left? Because he's alluding here to chesed and din, right? Those two polar opposite sefirot, on the right chesed, on the left din, judgment. The two poles of divine being, whose opposite qualities color the world. Get back to the Zohar. Come and see. All prophets of the world absorb from a single facet through two known rungs. Okay, what is he saying here? Let's take a look down at note 190. All prophets of the world absorb. Prophecy derives from the divine flow, channeled through the spherotic pair, Netzach and Hod, which are considered a single field of prophetic vision. And let's look back at that diagram of the sefirot. So he's saying prophets draw from Netzach and Hod, those two rungs, through a single field. This may mean that single field of prophecy. It may mean through Malchut, through Shekhinah. Prophet absorbs the inspiration from these two sefirot, but conveyed through Shekhinah. Okay, continuing in the text, those rungs. Those rungs appear through a dim glass, as is written, Bamar'ah, in a vision, I make myself known to him. Right, the verse from Numbers that he quoted up here, he's just bringing part of that verse again. Who is Mar'ah? As has been said, a mirror in which all colors appear. This is the dim glass. Okay, this may seem very hard to follow, and it's intentionally so. The Zohar is a cryptic text. The Zohar does not come out and say what it means. It uses poetry, it uses imagery, it uses allusions and illusions. Everything is a secret that needs to be unpacked. That's why there's so many notes here. Let's look a few of these notes. Through a dim glass. This is Shekhinah. Shekhinah is known as the mirror that does not shine, or the dim glass. Take a look down at note 191. This is a little technical for us here, but just look at this quote from the Talmud. All the prophets gaze through a dim glass, literally an ispaklaria that does not shine. Okay, that's the Aramaic word, ispaklaria. It's really based on the Latin speculum. Okay, speculum can mean a mirror, right? So the ispaklaria means a glass, a mirror, a lens that does not shine. I translated it a dim glass, but it literally is the mirror that does not shine, the lens that does not shine. And what does it say in the Talmud? All the prophets gaze through a dim glass, through ispaklaria that does not shine, whereas Moses, our teacher, gazed through a clear glass, an ispaklaria that shines. So this phrase is used in the Talmud to speak about prophecy. Prophets see somehow not with total clarity. Moses saw more clearly. The prophets see through a dim glass, through an ispaklaria that doesn't convey all the image perfectly. Okay, in the Zohar, Shekhinah is the dim glass, the speculum that does not shine on its own. I'm just reading the note here, but rather reflects and transmits the other sefirot. Here, she is the medium through which the prophet perceives his sephirotic vision. Okay, so that's what he means here. All prophets of the world absorb through a single facet, through two known rungs, those two sefirot. Those rungs appear through Shekhinah, the mirror that does not shine, as is written, Bamar'ah, in a vision. But that word mar'ah can also mean mirror. So he's interpreting the verse in the book of Numbers that God appears in a vision to mean God appears in a mirror, specifically in the mirror in which all colors appear. We said Shekhinah is the mirror that does not shine, but on the more positive side, she reflects all of the colors of the sefirot. She doesn't reflect her own light. In that sense, she does not shine, but she conveys the light of all the sefirot. And here she conveys the prophetic image, the prophetic vision from above, from Netzach and Hod to the human prophets below. Let's continue with the Zohar. In a dream, I speak with him. That's how God said in the book of Numbers. God conveys prophecy often in a dream. But the Zohar says here, 1/60th of prophecy as has been established. What does that mean? As has been established? It often means as the rabbis taught in the Talmud. Okay, take a look down here at 193, 1/60th of prophecy. According to the Talmud, BT is Babylonian Talmud. The very first volume of the Talmud is Berachot, blessings. A dream is 1/60th of prophecy. A dream is 1/60th of prophecy. So that's not invented by the Zohar. The Zohar is just borrowing it from the Talmud. That's why the Zohar says, as has been established in the Talmud. So why 1/60th? Because the Babylonian Talmud uses the number system current in Babylon, which was base 60. And it's almost really like we would say 1%. Babylonian mathematics is 160. We would say 1%. Of course, we still use the base 60 for hours, 60 minutes an hour for measuring angles, for GPS. But we can translate this to 1%. A dream is one fraction of prophecy. So what does that mean? If you have a dream, something is coming to you, but it's 1/60th of a prophetic vision. It's not total totally clear, totally full. Maybe it's not totally accurate. It's just a taste, a fraction of prophecy. So that's from the Talmud, basically. But now the Zohar adds a new element. It is the sixth rung from that rung of prophecy, rung of Gabriel, appointed over dreams, as already explained. The Zohar likes to do that. It says something totally unexplained, unclear, and it says, as has been explained, as if, this has already been talked about. This is basic, but to us it seems totally confusing. So what does this mean? The sixth rung from prophecy? Let's take a look here at the diagram. The sixth rung from prophecy, Netzach was the beginning of prophecy. That would be 1. Hod is 2. Yesod is 3. Malchut is 4. What comes beneath Malchut? The angels. Michael, Gabriel. So Gabriel, who's appointed over dreams, is 6 steps away from the beginning of prophecy. Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Malchut is 4. Michael, the archangel. Michael, Gabriel, the archangel. Gabriel. The Zohar is telling us that in its cryptic, poetic way. It is the 6th rung from the rung of prophecy, rung of Gabriel, appointed over dreams. Who is Gabriel? He's mentioned in the book of Daniel, as I say down here in note 194. The book of Daniel, Gabriel interprets dreams. Here he becomes the master of dreams. He's appointed over dreams. Come and see. We're on the second page of the PDF now, page 115. Come and see. Every seemly dream proceeds from this rung. Okay, from, he may mean from Netzach or he may mean from Gabriel. Every seemly dream proceeds from this rung. See, you cannot have a dream without false material intermingling, as they have established. You can't have a dream without false material. Look at note 195. Yeah, so Gabriel, appointed over dreams, stands beneath Shekhinah. So Gabriel is outside of the purely divine realm, which means that demonic forces nearby can smuggle in false images. The dream is contaminated by falsehood. How can the dream have anything false if the dream comes from God, if the dream somehow is rooted in the divine? Because it has to move through various stages, from Netzach to Hod, to Yesod, to Shekhinah, to Michael, to Gabriel. It's 6 steps removed. Why does he want 6? Because of 60. Okay, remember you said that a dream is 1/60th of prophecy. Now that fraction 1/60th is being translated into mystical numbers. So we move from 1/60th to 6. That's why I think he's playing with 6, and Gabriel being 6 stages away from the beginning of prophecy in the sphere. Back to the Zohar. Consequently, some of them are true and some are false. Some dreams are true, some are false. You cannot have a dream that does not contain both this side and that. You can't have a dream that doesn't have false material, because the dream traverses some territory outside of the divine realm before it reaches our mind. Since a dream includes all, as we have said, all dreams of the world follow oral interpretation. What does that mean? All dreams of the world follow oral interpretation. This has been established, for it is written, as he interpreted to us, so it was. Where is that from? You can tell it's a verse because it's in italics, right? Everything in italics is from the Bible. This is from Genesis as well, but later in Genesis, just a few chapters later, Joseph is sold down to Egypt, sold by his brothers. He becomes a servant in the house of Potiphar. You may remember Potiphar's wife tries to seduce him. Joseph withstands the temptation, is not seduced, but despite that, he ends up in jail. And when he's in jail, he interprets dreams of 2 of Pharaoh's ministers who've been sent to prison. And one of those for whom he interprets the dream later is restored to Pharaoh's service. And he tells Pharaoh, I know someone who can interpret your dreams. Pharaoh also has a dream he's very troubled by. And he asks his interpreters, can you interpret? Nobody can. But Pharaoh's minister, the chief wine steward, tells Pharaoh, I remember when I was in prison, Joseph interpreted our dreams. A Hebrew lad interpreted our dreams, and he now can help you with your dreams. So how does that show you that all dreams follow an oral interpretation? Let's look at that 196. Note 195 is interesting too. Just look at here, 195, this paragraph from the Talmud. Rabbi Yochanan said in the name of Rabbi Shimon, son of Yochai, right, the hero of the Zohar, Shimon bar Yochai. This is an actual statement attributed to Rabbi Shimon in the Talmud. Just as there cannot be wheat without straw, so there cannot be a dream without nonsense. Okay, the Zohar says there's falsehood in the dream. Rabbi Shimon says there's nonsense in the dream. That's the Talmudic source. But 196, all dreams of the world follow oral interpretation. The true meaning of a dream depends on its interpretation. Look at the power there that's given to interpreting. The true meaning of a dream depends on its interpretation. It's a remarkable statement. And here too, there's a parallel in the Talmud, same tractate. These pages of the first tractate, 55, pages 55 to 58, I think, a few pages in the Talmud are filled with material on dreams. Rabbi Elazar said in the Talmud, how do we know that all dreams follow the mouth of the interpreter? And how do you know that interpretation determines the dream? Because it is said, as he interpreted to us, so it was. This verse, spoken by the wine steward, describing Joseph's mastery of dream interpretation, is quoted to show that interpretation is decisive. This is Pharaoh's chief cupbearer describing how accurately Joseph interpreted his dream. Okay, so the Zohar is saying dreams need an interpretation. Why? Because a dream contains falsehood and truth, and the word controls all. So a dream needs favorable interpretation. Let's look at note 197. The word of the interpreter possesses the power to actualize one of the possible meanings of the dream, for better or for worse. Okay, the dream could mean various things, and once an interpretation is given, that becomes decisive. You know, think of this psychologically. You have a dream, you ask somebody what the dream means, they tell you what it means. Maybe it meant that, maybe it didn't mean that. But if somebody says this is what it means, that can be very powerful, sometimes too powerful. The dream can determine, the interpretation can determine what the dream means. So that's all Rabbi Chia. Rabbi Yehuda said, back to the Zohar, because every dream is of the rung below, controlled by speech. So every dream follows speech. What does this mean? Every dream is of the rung below. Every dream comes from that angel Gabriel. Gabriel is controlled by Shekhinah, who's known as speech. One of her many names.
So do you now understand why we don't want to solve it though? Because how do you solve it? You have to kill the elderly. That's the only way to solve it. Obviously, we don't
throw you down the well.
Throw the leprechaun faggot down the well. Make him sleep with his Nazi dog.
No, because we can't have a conversation. Dude, if we can't have a conversation, I mean, I'm going to move you to the audience because we're trying to have a conversation.
Who's having a conversation? You're just ranting at people.
No, I'm just telling you that.
You're just ranting.
Dude, I'm not interested in talking about the show.
Okay, exactly. You said, let's have a discussion. No. Listen to what the fuck you just said. Let's have a discussion.
You're talking about a solution, man.
No.
Dude, do you understand what I'm talking about? Oh my God. I don't care about the Jews. I don't care about the Jews. We're talking about a solution to the problem. I don't care about what caused it, man. That's what we're talking about.
Leprechaun.
It doesn't matter. No one cares about the Jews. We're not talking about the Jews. I'm telling you, the only way to reduce housing costs is through euthanasia. Now, euthanasia is needed because the elderly depend on their housing or pension.
You literally just said we're having a discussion, and immediately the next thing on your mind, there's only one solution. A fucking discussion.
I is the only solution. Yes, it is.
Listen to the term.
Man, that's not what I'm telling you, dude. Oh my God, this is not
How'd you get on stage? I know you are. You have good taste.
It's simply
to reduce the cost.
Talk to me about solution. Talk to me about another solution. Don't go talk about the Jews. I don't care.
Of course you don't.
Give me what you think is a solution.
Go and invade other countries and fucking steal all their
That's not
fucking
a
resources.
solution.
Yes, it is. What's the point in having the biggest What's the point in having the biggest military in the fucking
If
world if you don't
that's the
fucking
solution,
use
we
it?
would have done it, fool. Like, you guys are retarded. If that's the solution, we would have done it.
No, you do convert me by other means. So that's what the CIA
That's not a solution.
That's what
You're
the CIA
sacrificing your children. You're sacrificing your youth. I'm literally telling you, your problem is that you're having an aging population. You're telling me that go sacrifice the youth. I mean, how
You're
retarded
saying
is
to
that?
sacrifice anyone. The bomb Naga.
Okay, I'm telling you, killing the
Second generation. Why can't we just
Okay,
bomb them again and go take all their resources?
because it's not a resource issue.
So it's not a resource. It's not a resource issue, but we don't have the resources to pay for the elderly. That's what you're saying.
It is not a resource issue.
So do you think if
What I'm telling you is,
Chinese?
you're going to end up spending trillions on wars. You're not in a position to do that.
A couple of nuclear bombs are cheaper. In fact, they've already been
Okay,
paid for.
okay.
They
Tell me
already
about
exist.
getting resources after your youth, then, dude. What kind of dumb discussion is this?
Is gold gonna melt?
See what I meant? But conservatives are like babies, dude.
That's right.
You can't have a conversation.
That's right.
When you say it's not a conversation when you say there's only one fucking solution, dipshit.
Okay, and I'm telling you what's not a solution.
No. So why would you say there's only one
And you're going to use them to get their resources?
It's a sort of.
Well, it's lowering the cost is the goal. And then what Randy's saying, I would say, is a solution. But if wanting any sort of sovereignty over your country, then I don't. That's a totally different.
What I'm saying is that we will do the solution. You're not going to vote your way out of it. You're going to do it.
The only solution is the final
If
solution.
war wants the solution, we will have done it.
Comedian comedy.
That's not
It doesn't have to be.
The only solution is the final solution.
What about
Real talk. The government needs to buy Bitcoin. Real talk.
What about if
Oh
we
my
just
God.
incarcerate and
That's
behead
true.
anybody who's been traded to the United States in the past 4 to 10 years? And we take over their property and then we give it to the youth and incentivize marriages. Wouldn't that be a good solution?
No,
I've identified you as a trader. The trader of the U.S. government in your property.
The government doesn't have that authority. The government does the Constitution, and they're going to have the solution. Why are we trying to do a solution? So that the
If
country
somebody
might
was
be
traded to the States,
Why do we want a solution? He says.
okay, so the solution is there. We want the solution so that the nation might exist, the state. Now, if you want to change, you're going to change the law.
The countries will still exist. The fucking economy won't temporarily. These are just a bunch of GDP niggers, as if it's the most important fucking thing. A society, culture, and people, and race, and its history don't matter more.
That's the dumbest thing.
Well, I think it does. I think it does.
That's because
matter
you're
more.
a fucking Randy's a mongrel.
you
Fucking
pro-TCP,
man without a fucking hope.
pro-TCP trash. You need to get a life.
Amazing.
Stop
I
acting
think it does matter.
Back to Africa, nigger.
They is wrong.
Back to Africa.
Half Chinese, bat-eating trash individual. That's what you
We
are.
don't- Yeah.
Okay, this Malcolm X nigga. That's right.
Dude, we don't care. Dude, stop.
Randy,
We
shut
don't
up.
care about your racism.
Stop.
Dude, we no one cares. Okay, you don't like black people. Okay, we get it. Fine.
No, I don't like
That's irrelevant to our discussion, dude.
Randy, your solution to lower the cost is only relevant.
It's not my solution. It is the solution. That's
Okay.
why they're doing it.
Okay, but lowering costs is not a bad thing, but it's not the end all be all. And I
How
think
do you
most
lower
people,
costs? How do you lower costs?
first of all, if cost is the only issue, then it's a separate discussion. It's not,
No, I'm
at
not
least
saying
with
that.
the people.
I'm saying housing. For example, when it comes to housing, we're not going to lower down houses. You're not going to vote your way out of it. Housing, we're not going to reduce the prices of housing. We're not
Yeah,
going to do that.
I think for most Americans, we're a bit entitled and we've been privileged. The idea losing what America is something worth having inflated numbers. Although
If you're gonna change America,
well, that's inherently going to happen with your solution, which might be the only solution if something doesn't change.
but they're trying to make America exist. That's why we need a solution to the problem so that America may exist. Now, if changing America is on the table,
Which
then
America?
yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, it's been on the table.
That could be a solution.
No.
Civil war could be a solution.
I don't know. I don't follow that. I'm not following.
It's just that everyone is
How would that be a solution?
because then you can kill each other and then things will settle. Most people don't want that. So most
But in
people
that
want
case,
to
why would I not
solution to the
just
problem while maintaining the country. Most people don't
That's what a civil war would be retarded. Like,
okay, exactly.
why would you get rid of the young, productive individuals?
That's why I don't want to talk about it because it's retarded. Now, Randallson wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
That is not a solution. The solution is maintaining the country. How do we
I've got a solution, Dr. Rabbi. Put me in your queue, please.
Maintaining this country is like a very broad. It depends on what you think is actually maintaining it. The financial system is basically okay, but that aside, I mean, the financial system is totally imploded. It's fake for the most part.
That is fine.
And so, if people want to do what Randallson wants to do, and have war and do all this bullshit just to
You
keep.
can't say that aside. You can't say that aside. The country is the Constitution.
Yeah, but according to the Constitution, if anybody's a traitor, we can take their stuff. We can rob them. We can behead them. We can take whatever they have. We have a lot of them over the past couple of years, right? So you wouldn't have to kill the elderly. You can actually protect the elderly, kill all the traitors and the weirdos and the pedophiles and deviants in our society, and just take over the property.
You're not gonna do that.
Well, if it's that easy, trust me, the liberals will identify you as the traitor, you and me, and they'll carry up such. It's just.
Hi, Dr. Rabbi. Put me in the queue after Lou is finished. I'd like to submit my proposal. Thank you, Dr. Rabbi.
Otherwise, if you don't want, this is exactly what I'm telling you. You're gonna have euthanasia, and you're gonna have mass immigration, and although mass immigration is a lot of people, you're going to have to kill even more of your elderly. If you don't want that, then don't bitch about not owning a home. This is the future you're going to have. That's what I'm talking about.
We're talking about the past. We already went to the other stuff. So right now we're in the future, right? And in the future, I'm seeing these people all about to get locked up.
Okay, I mean, you need better glasses, I would say. I don't see that. I just say exactly what I told you, and we're already doing it. It doesn't matter who you vote for. This is like economic reality, and it does dictate the policy. This is what's going to happen. You need a way to weed out the elderly.
It's totally different.
And you need a way.
Trans, he's on point.
I'm just telling you, you need a way to weed out the elderly, and you need to weed out the dependent people. That is the elderly and the youth. Don't make children. Do not make children before immigrants. Like that is something that's happening, right? People aren't making children, and we're importing immigrants.
Right.
That is not something that's just happening. This is by design. You need to make fewer babies, and you need to import more immigrants because we can't afford to spend money on educating each kid 18 years. We'd rather import the taxpayer. That is one thing that will continue to happen.
The cost of educating people for 18 is just simply it's a cost that allows you to have two parents in the household work full time. It's just daycare at this point. The public school system. The cost is
a money laundering system. You can't just say it costs too much. It's supposed to cost too much. It costs more per capita to educate an American child than it does in other countries. So it's meant to be expensive.
It's not just that. We would rather not educate them. We'd rather import. That's why I'm telling you. Because we need to. How do you balance the budget?
The only reason they import it is they can't have sex with the kids locally. That's all. When you get into this,
you're going to reduce spending big time. You're going to reduce spending big time because you're going to have to reduce taxation. So you're going to have to reduce your income, but you have to reduce your spending so much more. So yes, we need no children. Import taxpayers instead of raising them.
And that's going to happen. Whether you guys like it or not, that's going to happen. The numbers are out. So I would say this focus purely on productivity.
All I'm telling you is that some people seem to think that you're going to have some, and that's what I'm telling you, conservatives are like a baby. Stop giving them meat. They're not going to chew it. They cannot understand it. They think we're going to have a future where things are reversed, and we're going to have a feminist future.
I also think there's a lot of people who don't want to acknowledge, what the role that AI is going to play in the future. Whether you are
oh my God! Please don't take us back to AI, dude.
That's what's
Hi, after Lou's finished with his IA proposal, put me in the queue, Dr. Reb. I'd like to submit some spending proposal cuts.
These problems are bigger than AI.
Well, I think
These problems are not much bigger than AI.
okay. Isn't it? Okay, let me hold on.
Also, AI targets the youth. It doesn't target the
If you had the ability to increase the productivity while lowering costs, and that's the only measure that you're going about, why wouldn't you do that if AI offers that option to you?
Because they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it because we have a lot of people already struggling to keep people hired, which is why we have to keep fucking inflating the currency so that you may get a job. Now we're saying, okay, we're going to get you out of a job, but we're having problems with unemployment.
Okay.
Now you want to
It's okay. I understand.
Okay, so but AI doesn't pay tax, dude.
Okay, well, that's not. Hold on. That's not necessarily the case. I don't. If you be taxed as. Okay, well, people don't pay taxes. Corporations and entities do. What's the? I don't see what the issue is.
No, people don't pay tax. You have to pay your tax.
Yeah, okay, but they're literally they have basically no. They're such a small percentage.
So you ask me why would we adopt it? I'm telling you why it's not going to be adopted. Because AI doesn't pay tax. We need more tax without increasing tax, and we need less spend.
Yeah,
what's going to happen.
Okay, hold on.
You cut me off with
Google or one of these companies. Yeah, I know, but I respectfully, I go back and forth for any about it. Chill out. I'll let you talk. Just
you don't really have much arguments.
Right. Okay. Go ahead. Let's lock up the traders.
Yeah, you're getting cut, and this is the problem. So you're not looking at the actual news of the postal service and the fact that it's supposed to be automated. It was actually supposed to be automated in 2020. A lot of these jobs right now, that the women hold especially, are going to be automated. This won't affect the men as much. So I think AI is going to be a great thing. Not only that, we're getting away from internal taxation and going towards external taxation. So I find a lot of people are just fear-mongering. I don't know why.
AI is not going to replace people. AI is going to make people more productive, regardless. We don't. We want that. We want that to a certain extent. The government is not interested in that because you need more taxpayers. We don't need more dependent people.
Okay, but if you can generate, there's two ways to look at it. You can look at everyone becomes dependent, or you could say that there's no drag in the economy because it's a completely different economy.
Yeah, we talk about communism. I am well aware of what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I'm saying. To just say,
right. So America succeeds.
So to ignore what is coming and just pretend like, oh, it's not going to be anything, and not try to actually say, okay, well,
but that's not going to happen. Communism is a utopia. It's not going to happen.
Well, first of all, I'm not advocating for communism.
I get that, but what you're saying is communism. You're saying this world, this hypothetical world of, which again, I don't like dealing with hypotheticals, Lou. You keep doing that. I don't care about hypotheticals. I care about reality.
This isn't even a hypothetical.
It's like
the government can intervene. No,
I'm
literally talking. I'm talking about a future that's literally
I understand.
a few years away.
You're talking
where
about a future
a company could either, one, they could sell you a tool that makes you more productive for an affordable price, or they could sell your boss a tool at half the price of you that matches your productivity.
I get that. It is a hypothetical future that we didn't realize, and we will never realize. We will never realize it because we don't have the incentive to. It's a hypothetical future, which I'm not interested in. But even if you want to do that,
how is that hypothetical?
Because that's not what's going to happen. We're not going to have a sea of useless people, but somehow, because we have this world of abundance, we are able to sustain them.
Okay, I'm not. Yeah, I think it's a very dangerous path. 100% agree. I think it should be taken.
It's not about it being dangerous.
Yeah.
It's not
about
it being dangerous. It's not attainable.
We don't just okay, but we are going to venture down that path, and if we don't decide to figure out how we should go about navigating it, maybe it's to erase the. Maybe the answer is to say, you know what, we're just not going to go down that path, period, and we'll fight.
Yes, we are not going to go down that path. It's
right.
Utopia. It's not going to happen.
Okay.
Waste of time.
Not exactly.
We have to have contingencies. Oh my God.
You're literally talking about what the government wants to do. That's a utopia, man.
Wait, you're saying
I get it. It's what China wants to do. It's what China wants to do.
Chinese
right?
are communists. I get it, dude. Why can't you?
100%.
You are literally describing what Karl Marx described. You're literally describing a hypothetical world of abundance where no one has a need.
No. Dude, bro, I'm not trying. The abundance thing is. I'm not on board with that. We have abundance now. It's just big government.
No, we don't have abundance. We don't have abundance. We don't have.
There's artificial.
You don't have.
If we're gonna pretend that there's.
We've got artificial intelligence abundance. Haven't you downloaded Grok yet? We've got AI abundance.
Yeah, there's no abundance with AI. It's not going to happen. We're not going to live in a world where costs are zero. We're not going to live in a world where energy is $0. We're not going to have that. We're not going to be able to provide for everyone who doesn't. It's not going to happen.
You're missing the point.
It's literally going to be. It's going to be more communism if we just pretend.
You haven't made.
But I don't want to pretend, man.
You keep getting cut. If the useless people are going to be the women, right, and the women will have to become wives, then what would be the problem? Because most of the jobs will still be for the men. You're still going to have physical jobs.
Okay. You know,
those are the only jobs. Literally the only jobs that are going to be necessary by humans.
Huh?
Those are literally the only jobs that are like financially will make sense to still have humans do. That's what I'm saying. If we're going to play the dollar and cents game, where do we draw the line?
I don't know what game you're playing. I'm not playing it. We're talking about two different things. I'm not telling you about some hypothetical future. I'm telling you about a certain future. Given the economic reality of today, we have an economic reality which drives what's to come. I'm not interested in hypothetical future events and how hypothetically if it did this then it could die. But that's not the issue here. No matter what you do, this is what's going to happen. You need lower spend. You need higher taxation by lower taxation somehow.
You're not following the chain. There's a chain going on. So now abortion is going to be kicked out of our society. The fraud in the government, the women will probably be going back towards the men. It's going to be more of a Christian nationalistic society.
Who said that? That's utopia.
It's happening as we speak. $150 billion that Joe saved already. It shows that there's a lot of people who are culpable of fraud. So
that's really like, but that's fine. But that has nothing to do with this Christian society where the woman doesn't work and the man works. I don't see that ever happening.
The AI will remove the women's jobs.
They will have to give us a hypothetical. No, we're not going to go back. There's a reason why we want women to work, because we want more taxpayers.
No, the taxes are nominal now. We're going towards ERS, External Revenue System, or what service. So right now, over the last 5 years,
that's why Trump wants to do
dollars over the tariffs, $15 billion over the tariffs.
Trump wants to do that. There's a reason why Trump wants to do that. I support it. I don't think it's enough.
You're delusional. The system is totally bankrupt. They can't even collect enough money to keep supporting it, and they have to borrow to support it. The whole system, 35% of GDP runs on borrowed money or more. The system is ready to implode. It's just a question of when will we implode it.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have this family-friendly future. That's the job.
Why can't the system has to be family-friendly? Why can't there see an outcome where
when you say Christian, what do you mean?
Well,
no, I think I can tell you that. The future has fewer children in it. It doesn't have more children. That's a joke. We cannot afford children. because that means we're going to have to pay taxes to educate them in school. We cannot afford that. Okay, so we're not going to have the children. We're going to import immigrants. Immigrants are here. Well, they're not going to go anywhere. Children, yes, low fertility rates are going to be even more severe. People are going to be more single. They're not going to be married. They're not. Okay, that's just what's going to happen.
We're going towards a golden age.
I'm just telling you, that is what I'm telling you. Things are the way they are for a reason.
A future that's divergent.
Right, because they have to sustain the fake system. The fake
things are the way they are for a reason. And if you don't want this, then you're going to end up in total war. I mean, you can choose that, sure. And I would argue, hey, maybe at some point we will reach the point where, yes, that's the right thing to do, or that's the smart thing to do. Fine, I'm not even disagreeing with it. I'm telling you, if there's no war, massive world war, or massive civil war at least, these things will not change. It simply won't.
I don't think
what I'm telling you is there by design.
No, by the states, even the people on the streets. This is what mob is about. The state representatives are being put to task.
I
mean, you can say you want to have a negative outlook on the future, but we can see a very golden future, especially as conservatives. And you're saying that we're crying, but you're the one speaking over everybody, Rabbi.
No, dude.
You're not letting anybody get a point over. So,
I think conservatives like that. I guess that
if you want to go down that path, it would stop letting them murder 800,000 children every year. Like if that's what you prevent
800,000. It's 1.2 million a year. That's 100,000 babies a year. 10 billion a month it costs to kill 100,000 Americans.
Hardcore pro-life stance, but if they were to go bomb those places, I would say that they're morally justified.
We will never criminalize abortion. Conservative, 26% of Republican women have already engaged in abortion. Okay, you're an idiot. More than 50% of Republican women are pro-abortion.
It doesn't matter.
We're not going to take abortion away. We're not going to take it away because we want fewer children, dude. We're taking fewer children.
We're taking the vote away, bro. I don't think you understand what's
going on.
She doesn't have to be drafted. She doesn't have to decide whether or not the man goes to war and can die. That argument is hypothetical. It's okay. It goes against the Constitution. Everyone has the right to
we're also going to take over Iraq again, and we're going to take their oil, and they're going to be our slaves. Okay, yeah, these are hypotheticals.
Look, I'm a hypocrite here, but if you're going to say it goes against the Constitution and nothing has been done still, like at what point would something be done? We're all waiting for someone to do it.
The Constitution can be changed anyway.
And because the baby's body is not the same as the woman's body, that argument no longer stands. There's a lot of people on abolitionists rising. Look on it online.
Okay, fine. Let's change it, and then we can talk after they change it. I'm not gonna assume.
Well, they already changed Roe versus Wade, so I'm talking about it right now. They got rid of Roe versus Wade. That was a fraud.
That doesn't make abortion illegal. That makes it harder. That makes it harder to make abortion illegal. That's the problem with conservatives. They're such idiots.
But it was a victory.
They're such idiots. Conservatives are some of the dumbest people, dude.
Nah, bro. What's happening is you want to decry the things we actually have as progress and always claim some kind of negative outlook, even though you have no basis.
I don't think it's progress. I don't think it's progress.
One out of every $3 that is spent worldwide is American. That's why China just collapsed. So the same thing we're talking about, America's about to improve. China's having riots on the streets, bro. They're about to start doing that. It means everything.
No, that doesn't mean anything. It means nothing.
Do you know about the
abortion? I'm telling you, you're celebrating the end of abortion through something that makes it much harder to end abortion, dude.
It basically grants it the opportunity to make it totally legal on a state-by-state basis.
You could have make it illegal federally if you want to make it illegal. Make it based on the faith. That's not nothing to be celebrated.
Oh no, brother, the power is to the people. It's not to the government, to the people.
Yeah, it's not to the people. It's not.
That's a total joke.
No, it's a total joke to you because you have no state. You don't know of a state that works like
Yeah,
America.
that's what's retarded. That makes that laughing.
Hey, bro, where are you from?
I'm from China.
Where are you guys? Terrific. Who's next, guys?
He's a shawarma maker from Amman. He's a Jordanian Greek Orthodox Christian that lives in Canada, and he's an accounting zero clubhouse hero. You know, he doesn't want to hear any good proposals for spending cuts. He's just a schmuck.
What are you talking about? I'm literally telling you people. I'm literally telling you you need to say spending cuts. I'm literally the one telling you need to cut spending.
H1B1, yeah.
Yeah.
I make more ads.
Canada's trash, bro.
Okay, we get that.
You know Canada's trash. You're on the verge of collapse.
Okay, Canada is total trash. How does this relate to what we're saying?
Aren't you in Canada?
Yes, I am. What does that mean?
Right. So why aren't you worried about what's happening in your country?
Oh,
You
that's
wanted
the
to-
same thing.
Yo, down, bro.
But
Things get it
so
back.
these guys,
Midas, what's happening in Canada?
these guys are they just don't got it. They don't got it.
See, Midas left. Midas, what's happening?
No, I moved both of them because
Oh, you gotta bring them up.
they're not saying anything. But they're not saying anything. It's the same thing. What's happening in Canada is the same thing as the U.S. Low fertility, aging population, housing through the roof, euthanasia, all the immigration. All these things are not going to go away. It's the same symptoms of the same disease.
Well, what in terms of the
If they can come, if anyone can come and tell me how these things are wrong, I'm all
Hello?
saying stupid things.
Is anybody there? Can you hear me? Hello. The point is, they need to
Yeah, I
cut
can
the
hear you.
they need to cut the NDAA by about 800 billion. They need to cut Medicare, Medicaid by $1 trillion. They need to cut Social Security by 500 billion. And then they need to prioritize spending. No more spending money on anything that isn't absolutely essential. They need to start paying down the debt. Americans need to start. Shut the fuck up. Americans need to start saving money, and that's the way the system resets. If we don't do that, the system will implode, and we will be overrun, and America will dissolve. It will break apart.
Well, where is the damn time?
I'm complete.
Nobody got time for this shit, okay? Nobody got time for this shit. I don't got time for this shit. Why is it so difficult to explain things to people, man?
He's not explaining anything.
I hear about the American tariffs and how they believe that they're doing so good for America, yet the only countries that are actually benefiting it are the Canadians and the Chinese.
I don't think that's true, but
It is actually, believe it or not, 30%. The Canadian economy's actually grown by 30% as a result of the tariffs, and same with the Chinese. The Americans are actually it's caused actually.
where are you getting that from?
You can research. Just look it up.
Yeah,
Our gas has dropped. As a Canadian, our gas has dropped over 30 cents a liter. There's
come on, let's make it up. Gas is a global commodity. It has nothing to do with Canadian progress or tariffs. Trump took down gas prices, so gas prices are good for everybody.
No, the U.S. the gas prices have increased by over 40 cents.
No, they haven't. The U.S.
Yes, they
gas
have.
prices went down so much.
No, they haven't. Ask them. Ask the
I don't
Americans
think
that
so.
are on
I
Earth
have
for
to
gas.
the internet, dude.
Rabbi, ask the Americans that are on Earth for gas.
I don't need to ask them, dude. And also,
Oh my God! Listen, buddy, you don't know all the fucking answers. Dude. Just ask them.
I don't need to answer them. The internet exists. I can see the price.
Hey, do you believe everything the internet says?
I do believe the price is there.
Oh my God!
Yeah, I'm engaged with the market, dude. I do believe that. Yeah, when the price is 10, that means it's 10. I do believe that. Oil everywhere went down. That has nothing to do with Carney and how amazing he is.
Well, fuck yeah, I've got no use for Carney.
Okay, but I'm just saying, it has nothing to do with Canada. The tariffs are not good for Canada, actually. The tariffs are good for the U.S. if they play their cards carefully. I don't think they are.
No,
I don't think anyone wins.
They haven't benefited from any of the tariffs they put in place, and in fact, the Canadian government and all the other
drugs. So
are y'all okay? Okay, somebody post a picture. Go ahead, post a picture.
I don't have a picture.
So it's down there in the Google. It's down there on Melly's profile.
You were down there casting fucking spells in the mirror and shit.
Eyebrows either. I want to know why you didn't have no fucking eyebrows.
Okay, let me see. Hold on.
Why didn't you have eyebrows?
That hoe grabbed the razor and shaved her eyebrows.
I'm telling you, and I just want to ask a question. Like, I don't even want to sit up here and argue with your friend. I just want to know why you don't.
And then my thing is, because I heard you talking about makeup the other day, bitch. You sat up there and let a fucking middle schooler do your motherfucking eyeliner, bitch. You got that motherfucking that bubble gum ass fucking lip gloss, bitch.
One thing we're not doing.
The Chinese can fuck around with the Americans. Yeah, but the Canadians can't. The Canadians are so retarded for attacking the US.
Yeah, Lou, can you mute your mic? You're getting some feedback, please. Thank you very little, Lou.
Over the U.S., if there was some sort of idea for your trade, like what? It makes no. And what are they being asked to give up?
We have nothing over the U.S. We're gonna end up being decimated. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. But Canadians are doing this to get votes. Like Mark Carney is doing this to use that.
Lou, mute your mic.
In order to win elections, and he did that. But if you didn't notice his latest, what was his latest speech? If you listen to his latest speech, he did the 360 flip. Now he's giving the same conservative talking point. So,
Lou, mute your mic.
The U.S. is literally like advocating for China. They're literally saying, "Oh no, we're not going to be able to handle this. We should just cave in." It's like, dude, I don't understand that. Even if you completely disagree, you don't think it's going to work. It's still like from a strategy perspective, like give it a fucking chance. And if it can't work, then like, why is that the case when you're?
Is that a smoke already?
No, it's just glass.
What are you talking about?
I'm saying that like, if you can literally manhandle by a country that relies on your consumers, if like they're just not willing to negotiate, like what does that mean? What do they think of you? They obviously think that they can control you. But they don't have the leverage that China.
Yeah, but see, the sad part is not the Chinese do have a lot of products that the United States actually uses from China. If they ever stopped using it, you wouldn't have anything to wipe your ass with. And that's the sad part, is because both the American and North American economy has wanted all of these cheap products for so many years over the last couple decades here, is that we've put ourselves in this position. And sadly, we can't get out of it, because even though we say, hey, we want to buy American, we want to buy Canadian, it's going to be 10 or 15 times the price, because look at what we're paying our people compared to what China's paying them. We will never be.
Yeah, but they're going to be able to afford the U.S. has a superpower that no one else has. I don't know what you were saying. Well, the Chinese do have a lot of leverage.
Their leverage is that every 4 years, they basically.
Well, that's the point. We get rid of minimum wage. We get rid of minimum wage. It's finished. We get rid of Social Security. It's finished. You go back to the factories, you start making toilet paper, or you die.
Everything you buy, everything you have is made in China. They have a lot of leverage when it comes to the supply chain. You don't want to fuck with the Chinese. No, you don't.
Yeah, their leverage is purely because we don't want to pay more. I get it, cost is an issue. You want to keep costs low. But if you're trying to fix, if we agree there's a problem that we shouldn't be buying, you're going to have to.
Yeah.
You're wrong. We do want to fuck with China. We want the communists to go under. We want nationalists and capitalists to come in and take over the government.
Trump, the way he's trying to build it, the playing story, is who is going to outlive who? Are the Americans going to be able to sustain higher prices because Chinese products don't exist anymore? Or are the Chinese going to be able to outlive the Americans by losing the American consumer? That's literally what it is.
Yeah.
Trump is betting Trump is betting that the Chinese will be damaged more by losing the American consumer than the Americans will be damaged by losing the Chinese supplier.
Yeah, but what's the matter with that?
What?
Yeah, but what's the matter with that?
What do you mean?
If the Chinese lose the American consumer?
The American consumer is the biggest consumer. We don't want to lose the American consumer.
Yeah, but what's the matter with that?
The matter is that
Americans don't want to have any sort of struggle, even if it means that they can actually follow themselves.
Well, what that means is mass unemployment in China.
Oh, so you don't get supersized fries anymore. You got to eat normal size fries. Like, well, what does it matter?
Because the Chinese will have mass unemployment.
Okay, I think there's a fuck about the Chinks.
But you're saying, why would they mind losing the American consumer?
No. I don't give a fuck about the Chinese. Why does it matter to anybody in the Western world about the Chinese?
Because everything you already broke.
It's just
you're
a cost.
as poor as you ever were. And now your product will become much more expensive.
Bro, I've made a point. I've made a point in the past sort of year or so. I've bought very little new things. Now, of course, I haven't bought. I'm very lucky, right? I don't need to. But one have it that's already been manufactured. But, you know, people don't need this consumer fucking bullshit, cheap nonsense.
That's not what
I don't
do.
I'm not sure. I've probably got a notepad or a fucking pencil or some shit. But I actually don't know off the top of my head immediately the last time I bought something that was manufactured in China in the past year.
Okay, I don't know how else to say this to you, but people desperately need cheaper products.
That just sounds like a
No. Why do people need cheaper products?
People do. Consumers come and buy your cheap goods that aren't going to last 12 months. Seafood! Seafood! The Chinese can eat it by the Chinese product help us seafood. Johnny, what the fuck did people do before shit was made in China? Yeah, I know, but you're a sexual
You might not believe
Factories in Mexico. How about big factories in
We need the Chinese.
We're gonna get the fucking listen to me. Go look at your sneakers, the parties in Thailand, the parties in Vietnam. Like, they're all the look at the medium sneakers, right? There's many countries that can do.
I'm not gonna explain to you why we need the Chinese product.
It doesn't matter if it's Trump did. We all do before Chinese products.
So do you think you can recreate manufacturing in 2 seconds?
Who said in 2 seconds? No one did those words. No one did those words. How did China take it off the West? Just a second. That transition. You transition it back. Randy's a Chinese. He's a fucking Chi-Com.
Okay,
Little Randy's a Chi-Com.
Randy, I have a different way to look at it. Look at it from like an investor's perspective. Randy.
What a waste of time, dude. It's so boring.
Randy. It's so boring. Okay, Randy. Look at it.
You have to agree with me for the test.
No, because it's not about agreement. It's about
Exactly, Randy. There's only one answer. And if you
Okay, Randy.
Do you understand?
I have a different approach to this conversation.
There's only one answer.
Okay, I'm gonna move you down, dude. There's no conversation.
No, come on.
Okay,
There's no
Randy.
conversation, dude.
Randy.
What's up?
Here's my thinking, though.
let's say that the manufacturing in China is bar none supreme and unbeatable, right? And there's like a premium there. Let's call it X dollar. X dollar, China is head and shoulders above everybody else. Now, America has targeted China and says, we don't want your goods. You're saying, how could there ever be competition to get to China's capability? My answer, roughly, Randy, is that the value of X is equal to the investment necessary in fucking Malaysia.
But that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all.
And whatever the difference between X and the investment
That's not what he's saying.
is going to be depicted in the price of Amazon.
Randy, why? Who cares? It's so inefficient to fucking argue back and forth with us. Let him just say what he's gonna fucking say.
But I don't care what he's saying. That's not what I'm talking about. He's saying you are saying this, but that's not what I'm saying.
Nobody cares what I'm saying. Respectfully.
Okay, then why are you engaging?
Yeah, so we'll be there.
We're engaging with your thoughts. They're interesting ideas.
But that's not my thought. That is not my thought. Well, that's the problem.
Your thought is China. China is instrumental.
No, I never said you don't want to. But Lou, can you mute, dude? Your microphone is like way too hot.
Thanks, Lou.
I never said you don't want China products. I never said that. You're tariffing the Chinese product. That doesn't mean you don't want them.
That is kind of what it means.
You're relying? No, that's not what it means.
The tariff says go away or give us
The real journalism, James O'Keefe. And if you haven't heard of him, look him up.
the money.
Him and his crew just went into hiding. They've got two massive stories.
But changes take time. Now, if you want to get manufacturing back to the U.S., that's not going to happen before 6 years.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're getting ready to be released that are going to shape the foundations of America.
They're not even real conservative.
Going dark.
I genuinely believe that the whole manufacturing thing is just a gaslighting. That's something people are pretending that's the cause of the tariffs. They're not trying to build a manufacturing in America. We're fine buying Chinese goods, but right now we want a tariff.
This one scares me, guys.
Think about it more like that.
But I don't think that's what's happening. No, I don't think.
I think that Trump thinks like a yard school bully, and he bops people on the nose.
Now, you finally get your first Kentucky Derby win. What's the same? You know, first of all, thank you. Thanks, my Lord. Jesus for giving me this Kentucky Derby.
Wow, if that's true, then his whole administration, his whole philosophy is completely undermined at that time.
Diego, so we had a guy who was robbed and he had 50 prior arrests. He robbed me, got out of jail, came back, burglarized me again.
Grow whatever jobs he can and like create a barrier for them to do it. But like mostly, the tariffs are going to be repealed once he's gone.
Later, came back a couple weeks later.
Every economist in America, by the way, like every lawyer, every banker got fucking pissed at the goddamn tariffs. They were like okay with it until he just like tanked the economy with a button.
Okay, dude, I think you're talking too much in absolutes.
No, I'm serious. He's done it for years. The tariffs are not. No one in America is in favor of tariffs except for Trump. So it's all just
Yeah, obviously he has both goals. Obviously he wants to like create manufacturing. Obviously he also wants to balance the shipments. Doesn't mean he wants to cut out.
Well, that was the summer of '95. I had no idea whatsoever.
He does want to bring back. He does want to bring
research
manufacturing. If he's being honest about this,
and trying to stop this company.
So if he's being honest,
yeah, exactly.
Listen, you can boost manufacturing, say you're attacking China, and still work out a deal with China and get money for the U.S.
Yeah,
at the same time.
Yeah.
When we first did one of these seminars, Tom Holman, then acting director of ICE, said that he was planning to refer me to the DOJ.
The tariffs were first on everyone. Everyone said you're insane.
It's gonna happen in less than.
He then focused it on China. And then like,
It's all like out of touch.
That's so different. And with China, there will be a deal soon. The Americans cannot sustain higher prices. The Chinese cannot sustain more.
I don't know. I think
They're already signaling that deal. What are you talking about? They're already signaling.
Obviously,
to a whole K-12 system.
The Department of Justice.
Guys,
This
guys,
is
guys.
deal too. Debate.
Are you drunk? Are you drunk right now?
No, I'm not.
to coordinate
That sounds like a
with
stack
state and
email.
local
Like it's
enforcement
actually.
to fight child abuse in our school
It's not.
systems.
Very simple. Oh my god. Well, if you're not drunk, I mean, there's like, I'll tell you that. There is going to be a deal.
It is child.
Neither the Americans nor the Chinese are better off like this. None of them are.
That's true. I agree with you
Okay.
there.
Trump is playing it
Trump is
as
trumping.
if the Chinese will fire out first. That's
Probably,
why the Chinese are
yeah.
playing it as if the Americans would. Now, the truth is, I believe that the Americans will fire first, not the Chinese.
Could be.
Because no, it's not could be, it's fact. The Americans will rise up against their government.
No, they won't.
They're not going to rise up against the government.
Keep talking
They'll-
about it.
I think they will.
If they propped up the senile old man for 4 years, they can neutralize Trump if they want.
Trump is not the most loved person. Trump had several assassination attempts on him. A lot of people don't like him enough to even kill him already.
He did survive that bullet. They have a photo of him dodging a bullet.
That the guy will have serious problems when because everything is made in China.
Could be.
No, not could be. Fact.
I don't know. American commerce is an amazing thing. I would be surprised. Ability is shipping Chinese goods to America. You don't understand the power of Walmart.
That is their ability. What else does Walmart do? What are you talking about? Walmart.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Isn't that what you just said?
Don't want higher prices.
No.
The big Americans need is higher prices. And the last thing
Walmart is nearly as complex as Amazon.
to lose all their demand. No one buys the Chinese products. You know, the Americans alone buy from China more than anyone else. So the Chinese don't want to lose that either. You will have a deal very soon. Less than a month, 100%. I'm not okay. Would you bet $100 on it like that?
What's the bet?
That in less than a month we're gonna have the deal with China.
Oh, I don't know. No, I can see that happening. I wouldn't bet against that.
Okay, $50.
I'll bet you 1,000. I'll bet Nick said 1,000. No, I'll bet him that. I know there will be a deal within a month. I know that for sure.
Okay, so who is certain there will be a deal in the month?
Yeah, that's fact.
Okay, Rabbi, you wanna? Okay, so both of you
I
bet $1,050. There'll be a deal in the month.
I can't bet against Moon because I agree with him.
But you can hedge your bet that way. If you end up being wrong, you can make money.
I'm just not so certain there'll be.
It's a beautiful day in the Gulf of America.
Yeah, it's not.
Okay.
Yes, because it is very obvious. Yes, that is exactly what's going to happen. Less than a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seem very good. You don't want this to be a deal.
I do want to deal. Of course I want to deal.
Is that why you feel like it has to happen within the month?
No. I want there to be a deal. That's why I
just left a doctor's.
No. I believe there will be a deal because I think everyone else who's engaged actually believes that there should be a deal, just like me, since I'm engaged.
Appointment.
You're not engaged.
The story of others. The stories of others. Intertwined with brothers. To change and free.
He does not comprehend, which is that simple. Not just me. Every single being. Every single being who is engaged with the markets wants a deal.
Just got a ride from our amazing vice president. Say hi, JD. Hey guys, when you get elected vice president, they give you this sweet jacket. So,
Why the market hasn't taken into account?
It's all worth it.
It's like AI. What's really going on? The market's about fucking speculation.
I don't even want to know what this, where this.
Okay.
The AI. They were using that way before the large language model stuff.
No, I'm not saying that it would.
They had like a couple of flags.
God, you people. You people are basing it. Because for starters, I don't think at all. Like, you guys measure ChatGPT, the product that's provided to like the individual.
A lot of conservatives in particular would say that the rise in Islamophobia is a result of hate, but of fear.
Also, there is the problem that like it sounds like Intel is saying that they don't have as many things as people are saying, and then.
Product manufacturing. It's all about the service. I don't care how many massages you get. I don't care about the price. The massage you get?
No, you're wrong to discount the value of AI.
I mean, if you were to
order for that fucking orangutan, I don't want to see a margarita in your hand in 4 days. I don't want to see chips and queso.
I just don't understand why you would just ignore that is a possibility. That seems to be
your table, and it better be the.
They think it's a chatbot. This is going to be.
And that's what the market represents, the desires of the majority of people. If they don't understand the AI, it's not valuable yet.
Because it's not supposed to be marketed to them.
Married for 28 years to my husband, who is being deported right now by ICE.
It's going to be marketed to you for as long as it's basically necessary for them to be able to.
28 years.
He just feels the markets should recognize the power of AI.
Okay, I think they do actually.
No, I mean, dude, there's literally been basically no.
You think the richest people in the world don't know how to use AI?
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is
haven't you seen Apple and
oh my God.
The top one?
Did you guys see Buffett is stepping down? He's retiring. He's old. He's just like he's done.
Hey, and I think after the fact, it is not second guessing or anything.
Yeah, manufacturing is a separate thing.
But that's a problem.
Well, it's not a problem.
It's fair to go back on.
Separately, yeah, manufacturing as a whole is an issue, but as far as AI is concerned, it's totally a separate deal.
You can get classified by simply having certain symbols.
Manufacturing. It doesn't want America to develop its manufacturing. Also, it doesn't matter.
I'm suggesting that these AI companies are not, their strategy isn't to market to the consumer as they go. This is how we're they're very explicit at the idea that, like, oh, this can make you a lot more productive and it might even replace Dude, all I'm saying is for half your salary, if your job can be replaced by AI, why would
Why would they sell you some fucking 1% of your fucking salary when they can charge your boss, your company?
If you had to do it all over again, would you vote for Donald Trump again, yes or no?
Yes, I would.
You have a game, a toy that you want to buy for your son.
Now, in the future, I am not a...
The woman that made the Matrix, she actually was serious when she said that the Matrix was a documentary. A lot of people don't know the Matrix is actually connected to Terminator. Terminator is supposed to be a prequel to the Matrix. Yeah, she wrote Terminator, Hollywood stole her story, but Terminator was supposed to be an addition to the Matrix. It was supposed to be the first movie. The Matrix was supposed to be the sequel to Terminator. But humans created machines got too advanced, they took over the world, and they put humans into machines. I can see us getting to that point. The woman that made the Matrix that wrote it, she actually is serious when she said like the Matrix was a...
Yeah, I don't disagree, but dude, if you think the AI is completely irrelevant, man.
It is. It is irrelevant.
Irrelevant to this very specific issue.
Yes.
Like AI is not going to save us. Like we can just
I'm not saying it's going to save us.
No, but there's not even like something to offset the manufacturing problem.
Yeah, I know. We're talking about two.
I brought it up with regards to the market is not pricing thing, but they didn't bring it up.
It is.
I mean, this guy hasn't really like told us like what he means like by like.
Look at Nvidia. Look at Nvidia price. Look at even Apple jumped because of AI investment. Look at Meta. Meta jumped
Why is that? Yeah. If a company is able to become significantly more profitable because they're able to cut all expenses in any area, I think that's a big deal, and that's something that the market would respond positively to. It's pretending like the advancements that have literally, like, you can literally mess around and get off your ChatGPT, dude. Like, ChatGPT is for dummies. Like, it's just a product. That's not the actual fucking.
A lot of things are going to change. I agree with Lou on this one. Mixed, I'll give you an example. Are you familiar with the business corporation law in New York? Mixed's not here. Never mind. Well, I was just going to say that in business corporation law in New York, you just ask an AI, like, hey, find me two statutes in the business corporation law that contradict each other. Finds it right there. You can't adhere to both at the same time, but they both govern corporations. That's not what Randy is saying. So, but that's gonna destroy a whole lot of.
I hate these people.
But the judicial branch has the right to interpret the meaning of the law the way they see it. That's their right to make proof of a.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, like when AI like mature, like everything is gonna change, but overnight. That's a long way away.
Not overnight.
This process is
super serious. Did you guys see that robot lose its shit and almost kill its creators?
If you lose the AI race, it's going to be against your manufacturing.
You're not going to lose the AI.
Die hard Democrat.
You know how much money is being spent with AI shipping again? We could lose it with energy. They're not going to lose it, man. They're not going to lose it. The world is it's much more than AI, dude.
So what do you think? That the top AI models are going to be like open source for the world to use freely?
They're too expensive, Lou. No, I think that you need to produce locally. You need more produce so that you have less inflation, so that you have better standard of living. You need more production. You need more real GDP. Why not just stop printing money? But if I stop printing money, okay, but what if I tell you can print money and have a better standard of living if you have more production? It doesn't work that way. We're not going to let go of printing money. No, but it doesn't work that way because when you print money, you necessarily put demand on things that otherwise wouldn't have demand. And there's no way to... Okay, let me burst your bubble a little bit. The central bank of the U.S. manipulates the interest rates, not the money supply. So, yeah, so then what that means is the money supply adjusts based on the demand that they have from the people. So they're not even manipulating manipulating the money supply as directly. They're not doing it directly. They're doing it with the interest rate, which is a separate problem. Okay, we get it. But you're making it seem as if, okay, fine, let's say they do manipulate directly the money supply. But then if that's the case, if you increase the money in the system without increasing produce, that causes inflation. So, but you can't, if you print money, but the increase in production is higher than the increase in the money
Stupid shawarma maker.
Deflation, actually.
That's not really true because you have to understand the movement cycle.
How about you put it on ChatGPT?
Okay, let's run it by ChatGPT. Let's do it.
Okay, so if you increase the money supply, tell me when you.
Ready.
Okay, so are you ready? Okay, so if you increase the money supply, but you also increase the production.
Will this impact real estate? Central Valley of California.
If the increase in production by far outpaces the increase in money supply.
Okay.
I'm curious too if it would be relevant, like hypothetically, if one country had a nuke and another country just had absolutely no militaristic capability of defending themselves, would that have an influence on it?
Tell us how you're wrong, Diego. Tell us how you're wrong. Go ahead.
Go ahead. All right. Running it by ChatGPT.
If you increase production, more than you increase the money supply, then you should have a deflation. You shouldn't have any inflation.
And it says in that broad stroke, you would be correct that there would be a downwards pressure on prices. However,
correct.
You are forgetting Pantheon effects, and you are forgetting about the subjective value and demand for money itself.
Yeah, but we're talking central strategies. As an effect, you do create a deflation because
Pantheon effects says that increases in the money supply don't affect all prices uniformly or simultaneously. New money enters the economy at specific points at the expense of later recipients. Even if production rises faster, these distributional effects distort relative prices.
There is an inflationary effect. But the deflationary effect is bigger.
I know, but you can't make that happen. So I mean, yes, I guess
yes, you can.
If my grandmother had a dick, she'd be my grandfather.
Dude, you actually can. If there's 10 apples, each apple is $1. Each apple is $1. Now you increase the money supply, you double the money supply, but there are still 10 apples. Now each apple is $2. That's inflation. But if you double the money supply, but you quadruple the amount of apples, then each apple is now $0.50.
I understand.
That's like the simplest way you can get.
Okay.
Right. So
and how do you?
Okay. All I'm saying is increasing the produce is the best way to have a better standard of living.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're just an asshole.
Okay, I am an asshole.
In other words, you fail to understand the level of misallocation of resources that we're currently living in. We're living in a reality where there are billionaires who have made their money off of fucking GameStop stock, man.
Simon, do you understand what I'm saying, Simon? I think you're my only hope at this point, of course. Because more left.
My boy Simon, my shoe, doesn't even understand simple economic principles.
But yet he understands that if you have more production, you have a better standard of living. You need to produce more, exactly. So that's why manufacturing is very important. We want to return manufacturing.
No, but that's a whole lot of things. That's just, America produces more today than we ever had in history. So it's not necessarily manufacturing like the way Trump describes it.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because you want a bunch of services, man. You cannot sell services. Yeah, I cannot. You do know. Services are included in the GDP. So, but that's not what matters here, because I cannot sell you, I can't export to you psychiatry sessions. I can't export to you freaking massage.
Psychiatry sessions, that's exactly what AI is mostly used for, right, Luke?
Fine, but I cannot export it. I cannot export it. The country needs positive cash flow. More money coming in. The more I produce.
Trump needs to
correct.
So that he incentivizes everyone to come back, but not through tariffs.
I agree.
Actual deregulation.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna do it.
No kidding, but I mean that is literally the only way out of this. If you actually incentivize people to come back and say, hey, listen, there's
he's not gonna do it. He's not gonna deregulate it. You cannot deregulate because we are so deep.
The only way, Simon says.
Like, if you're gonna deregulate, how far are you gonna go? And it's all cope. And like, if you're coping, because you need to cope, you deregulate in this way. Okay, you remove that. Okay, now you have to cope in another way. But you're removing tens of years of coping. You end up with a catastrophe.
Don't threaten me with a good time. Deregulate the world, bro.
You're a moron.
Regulation. I'm just telling you that everything you want to deregulate, you're gonna have a million people going wild.
No, getting rich again.
We're so dependent on regulation. I think regulation.
Dependent on regulation?
Do you understand?
Okay.
Regulation. So if
You were raised no crazy.
Years ago, you know how many people are so dependent on these things because they're all leeches.
Yeah, but kill them. Kill the leeches.
That's
kill
not
the
how it
parasites.
works. Yeah, okay, you can't kill half society.
We've done it before. We'll do it again.
No, you've never done it before.
See, I told you the Holocaust never happened, Simon.
Yeah, but we're telling you, man, talk about Holocaust. I'm telling you about fucking 50% of the.
No, I was talking about leeches, but anyway, no. Who's dependent? Are you?
Because you think the Jews are the only leeches.
No, I'm kidding. But here's the thing, Randy. You work for banking people, right? You're saying your boss is a leech, and you depend on your boss for a job. So you're saying you're going to get negatively affected. You're biased. Your whole argument is biased.
I don't work for banking.
You work in some kind of regression analysis, right?
Yes.
So you work for leeches.
Everyone's a leech.
Not me.
I used to be in investment banking.
If there's one thing no one's accused me of on this app is being a leech.
Yes, you are.
They've accused me of not sharing things that they think they're entitled to, but ain't nobody ever called me a fucking leech.
The only thing you share is your woman.
Come on, Randy. No, that's you. You go on FetLife. I don't.
That doesn't mean I share my woman.
Randy,
Oh, good God.
Yeah, exactly.
But you are part of the other couple that you share your woman too.
Yeah, but I'm coming to him with a friend with benefits. That's all.
Randy,
what I'm telling you is, it's a simple fact that you do need more production for you to have a better standard of living. You need increased real GDP, so that you have a real GDP. But yes, and you need to have Yes, yes, you do.
We need less consumerism, less of it, not more.
Okay. Can you go on ChatGPT and write this?
Randy,
if we have, yes, you need to have a higher real GDP, and you need to have it increase by more than the increase in population.
You know GDP is a bullshit concept, right?
No, it's not.
Simon, you know that, right?
No, it's not.
Randy has perfect taste in the GDP.
Dude, you do need why can't you understand?
Randy, you're such an anti-Austrian. Who calls himself an Austrian? You're incredible.
It's the opposite, you idiot. How about you go on ChatGPT and write that down? You need to have
That's right.
For you to have a better standard of living, by definition, you do need to have an increase in real GDP per capita, which means an increase in real GDP, and which is higher than the increase in the population size. You do need that. Go ask ChatGPT. Don't take it from me. Take it from ChatGPT. Since you guys are all about the AI, go ask it.
Randy, please.
I just had 2 ciders at a bar over the past hour, and you're still talking.
That's right. Okay, my ChatGPT just said it's not true.
Yeah, China.
How is it not true?
Okay, let me read to you what it says.
No. Go back and read to me exactly what it said.
Okay, it says the standard of living.
Before you do that, read to me exactly what you asked.
Yeah.
Do you need an increase in real GDP to have a higher standard of living?
That's not what that's not, no. That's not, see how you posed that? Okay, what if I tell you the real GDP can decrease? What if I tell you the real GDP can decrease, but the population decreases even more, and we will still end up with a better standard of living?
My point here is that
it'd be more useful to have it try to challenge your ideas. More if I can get it to say that every one of you is a nigger.
So the problem isn't with ChatGPT. The problem is with the computer is never the problem. The problem is the person. The problem is between the monitor and the freaking chair. That's the problem.
Here's what it says.
But I don't care what it says. You posed the question wrong, dude.
No, it literally says if people work fewer hours but enjoy their life more, then they haven't increased their GDP, but their standard of living has gone up.
Oh, how about that?
Okay, that's you're basing it on other factors. Okay,
yes, but you're from the Middle East. You don't understand European mind and how they like to enjoy wine and food.
Yeah, that's live.
Oh, that's anti-Ogden, by the way.
So America's going to be European?
I mean, the Europeans have a lot, like the good Europeans, they understand, not the Middle Eastern Europeans.
Okay, we're talking
right?
purely economic.
Simon gets it. Simon knows how they enjoy life.
Man, we're talking purely economic, man.